Just a bit of a shout out to Dave McBride and the 10 SAS operatives who stood up for against the war crimes that have been happening throughout Afghanistan. But a very important point that Dave McBride brought up was that, you know, the top end of town, the people who are giving these orders aren't being held accountable at all. It's always the soldiers who've got to, you know, face up you know, against for the crimes and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, how about the people who are sending them to these illegal wars and, you know, based on lies, they're getting away scot-free. And I think, you know, John Howard, he was the Prime Minister of Australia, and Scott Morrison wants to say the culture of the military has to change. Well, I think the political culture has to change first, and that's first and foremost. Also, turn up next week for our year anniversary. Everyone, turn up. We're gonna have 500 people here now, so get down here and support Julian and free the truth and free journalism.
Town Hall stairs.
This is for solidarity. So the sale of the t-shirts and the money all goes to assist those who defend Assange overseas.
Julian Assange, stand up for the truth. Sign the online petition, free Julian Assange. Stand up against government corruption, war crimes. Tough kick today. Thank you. Free Julian Assange, stand up for the truth.
What is it? Thank you. I love
Sign
you.
the online petition, mate. Cheers. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange, stand up for the truth. Corruption, war crimes. Bring him home. They'll keep getting away with it unless the people stand up and say enough's enough. Democracy's under attack, journalism's under attack.
Is there something where we can like sign a petition or something?
Yes, yeah.
It's all
the
online.
details there, yeah.
Okay, no,
Thank you
100%
very
agree.
much.
Democracy's under attack, people. Free speech is under attack. True journalism's under attack. Stand up for Julian Assange. Hold your governments accountable against corruption and war crimes. Free the truth. Stand up for Julian Assange. Sign the online petition.
Enough is enough, and we will not allow this to continue any longer. The war is over. The lies must end. And Julian Assange is here to reveal the lies. And WikiLeaks is here to reveal the lies. And nothing and no one can stop the truth. The truth will out.
So the communists made Che Guevara a hero, right?
Yeah.
But the Americans think that he's a criminal. Everybody wears his t-shirt, but he wears Assange's t-shirt.
Anybody seen the Grim Reaper? I've heard that the Grim Reaper's about. The extradition Grim Reaper lurks silently.
Can be taken at any time these days.
That's exactly the case, you see? And that's what's been happening. There's been people
Journalism's
taken,
not a crime.
we only found out later, or killed, as they do in
Exposing
so many
the truth
countries,
is
so
not a
many
crime.
journalists who are being killed. You know? And people don't care because they've created this idea that it's okay, they are fair game, they can just go for them and kill them. They neutralize them.
Stand for Julian
What was the other
Assange, people. Sign
expression
the online petition.
that lovely lady Clinton?
Democracy's
Mrs.
under
Clinton
attack.
said at one point in time, what did she say? She said, oh, they should drone them or something like that.
Can't we just drone this guy?
Yes, that's exactly right. So if you openly talk about those things, it means you can go about the
When
world
the truth
killing
being revealed
those
is
who are
recognised as
revealing the
being a
truth.
crime.
Yeah. We were telling you before that it is an abuse of process for the US to request Mr. Assange's extradition. If extradited, Mr. Assange would be exposed to a real risk of discrimination on grounds of his foreign nationality, as he remains an Australian. He would be discriminated on the basis of his political opinions and at every stage of the criminal process in the US. We reject this extradition because it involves a flagrant denial of Mr. Assange's right to a fair trial and a violation of his right to freedom of expression. We should also reject this extradition because it exposes Mr. Assange to inhuman and degrading treatment. He faces a disproportionate sentence, amounting in effect to a death sentence, and to being incarcerated in inhuman and degrading conditions in a prison in the US, without the real possibility of contact with his family, his children, his partner, or his lawyers. On behalf of all of you Sydney-siders, we reject this extradition, also because it would be unjust and oppressive to extradite Mr. Assange. He suffers from chronic depression and anxiety, and he faces a high risk of suicide if extradited. So have his lawyers informed the court in the UK. Mr. Morrison, our Prime Minister, has been told by dozens of Australian parliamentarians of the Bring Assange Home parliamentary group to step up, to stop giving empty explanations, to stop his inaction, pick up the phone, speak to the US government, and end this disgraceful trial. It is shameful to all Australians to be part of this horrendous fraud on the UK courts and to aid in keeping Mr. Assange in jail, risking his life. End it now. Bring Assange home. Free him. Give him the health treatment he needs. Allow him to be with his family. Respect the achievements of this amazing Australian who has been denigrated for so long simply for telling the truth.
Thank you, Adriana.
Yesterday, my friend Leo went to Manly Beach and painted in the sand, or drew in the sand in big letters, "Free Julian Assange." And what we're trying to do is to make that a bit of a movement whereby people on beaches all around the world write "Free Julian Assange" in the sand, because we think that's a great awareness campaign that will allow people to take part and give people an insight into the fact that people all around the world care about this issue. So we're going to try and publicise that a bit and maybe make an event on Facebook. So we'll share that and see how that goes. Hopefully we won't have much more to do. Hopefully everything's going to be finished by the 4th of January. But when the decision of the extradition is handed down, I'm optimistic, but we can't let up the pressure at any stage until we know we're in the clear and Julian's free. And that's why we're here. That's why there's strong support, and we're getting good support from the public as well. A lot of people who walk past are interested, and they pay attention and they ask us questions, or they come up and chat. Often it's people from countries where there've been dictatorial leaders in the past, and they're naturally inclined to be interested in what ordinary citizens have to say, because that was something that was perhaps denied to them, that opportunity in their own countries. So it's good. It's great to chat with those people, because they're quite often, people from, say, Eastern Europe or some Asian countries where there's been, as I said, dictatorial type governments and repression in the past. And it's good to engage with those people, and a lot of them actually already know about Julian Assange, but they don't know, like a lot of people, they know who Julian Assange is, but they don't know the actual details around the case, the extradition case. And it's good to have a chat and educate those people and make sure that people understand that it's still ongoing, the fight is ongoing, and we need to, as I said, we need to keep up the pressure and make sure that the decision is the right decision and that Julian goes free. And Steve is doing his part by becoming a prolific tweeter, which is great to see. And it's disheartening that there's still a lot of people. I think it's a bit of an insight into how strong the mainstream media propaganda is, particularly in the US. I think the support for Assange is pretty strong in, you'd call it the global south, I guess. People in countries that are not, say, don't have the same GDP level that Australia has or America has. Everything that I've seen online, the support is pretty strong in those places for Julian. And in countries like America and England are probably the countries where there's the most divided opinion about Julian that I've seen, and it's just people are sometimes inclined to regurgitate just blatant lies or mistruths that have been propagated in the mass media, and I do my best not to get angry at them, sometimes unsuccessfully, and to try and educate those people about what the truth is, and the fact that Julian's just a guy who has done the best that he can to reveal evidence, definitive evidence and original sources that reveals that Western governments have been complicit in terrible crimes, war crimes, corruption, genocide, environmental degradation, torture, all sorts of depravity. And all he's really tried to do is to bring that to light, and anything else is just a smokescreen. And it's very clear to those of us who support Assange, who've done the research, that that's what the case is. But people who've only read headlines or haven't understood the facts in detail just end up believing the lies of the military-industrial complex, the very powerful and wealthy people who are behind that. And we do our best to try and educate them, and that's why we're here, and that's why we go on platforms like Twitter and try and educate them, and why I need to do better to try and do that in a constructive and not aggravated manner. I'm learning, as we all are, and so I'm confident. I'm not confident. I'm optimistic that Julian will be free, but we need to continue the pressure right up until that date. And if it takes longer than the deadline on January the 4th, then we'll keep up the pressure. I'm sure that a lot of people will keep up the fight, although I hope it doesn't come to that.
Now this Leo, is that the Mr. Clifford?
Leo is my mate, and Leo is an educated guy and an empathetic guy, and
he's flying a drone as well, is it?
He got up at 4:30 a.m. yesterday morning and took his shovel and his drone down to the beach, and as I understand it, he planned out the scale of the letters so it was more or less in scale, and it took him 45 minutes to write it all out, and then he flew his drone up and took some footage of the Free Julian Assange message in the sand that was written at Manly, and that's now Julian's partner Stella Morris shared that yesterday, or photos of that, which was great. That was posted by one of our team here, Karen, and Leo wants to make that Free Julian Assange message a worldwide thing, wants it on beaches all around the world, which would be a great message of solidarity from people all around the world who value what WikiLeaks have done and support Julian's work.
It's up to STOMO to call up bollocks. There's no legal solution, there's only a political solution. The lawyers are just playing games. The lawyers are playing games. There's no legal solution, there's only a political solution, and it comes up down very clearly to STOMO calling up boss and saying, free the man, give him proper medical treatment, he's been wrongfully treated, we all know it, and if you don't do it, your credibility will be shot and you will definitely go down the next election. For the same reason John Howard did.
Julian Assange did this, he released footage of war crimes, but now they're targeting him as the criminal for releasing the war crimes, because he's a person that dropped names. He mentioned, the Clintons, the Kissingers, the Soroses, all these elites. He's the one that mentioned them, but because no one was mentioned in the news this week, he got allowed to get published on the news. But when Assange posted his war crimes information and he actually dropped names of these globalists, he's getting persecuted. So it's just it's unfair because he actually exposed the people. And Scott Morrison and Donald Trump and everyone, they should release him, and as you said,
that's exactly why they're holding him.
Exactly.
Come on, STOMO! One decision! No extradition! Just do it! Boris! No extradition!
Only one decision. It's unanimous, there is only one decision.
Free justice free! In the tapestry of lies!
Thank you. Only one decision. Only one decision. Is there any other decision? There's only one decision. Sure, there's no other decision. That's it? That's the only decision? Okay, you heard them. There is only one decision.
No extradition!
You heard them, folks. Only one decision.
No extradition!
Come on, folks, join in. What's the decision?